Let's welcome the ever young Zindzi Mandela.
Ladies and gentlemen, our Honorable Minister Maita Mashabane made an interesting observation a short while ago that only Nelson Mandela would succeed in unveiling himself. If you were to look at the statue, clenched fist in the air, by remote control, he's successfully participating with us today. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being with us today. This is a particularly touching event, especially now that the family has been going through very difficult times. We've been very anxious about my father's state of health. We've been very anxious about all types of media speculation that even when we've been with him, like during the day and you go home at night and you switch on the radio, you watch TV, you are put into a state of total panic because you're thinking what these people are saying and what I've just seen at the hospital now, two completely different scenarios. It's been a very difficult time, and I know that, you know, there's a lot of love and support and care for my father. And I know that just the thought of death, and death itself tends to bring out the best and the worst in people. And people often express in inconsiderate or insensitive ways their concern for him and for his state of health. I just want to say to you, because I know that everybody just worries about, you know, how he truly is, what is propaganda, what is being hidden from you all, that this man is a fighter, as you can see from that raised fist over there. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. He's determined to be with us. And that is something that we cannot predict. It's a relationship between him and his maker that will determine how much longer he is with us. On behalf of the Mandela family, I'd just like to say that I'm actually not the only member of the Mandela family here present. I'm here with my son, Zondwa Mandela. I'm not too sure where he is. And I was with him a few years ago when we sat with the Honorable Ambassador Rasul when he spoke to us about this dream of seeing the statue being unveiled today. I'm also with General Tandukolo Mandela, who comes from the very same village as my dad in Kunu. Please stand up, Chief, let's acknowledge you. And who is also a reminder of Madiba's background and his heritage. I've always said that, you know, there's a tendency to define Nelson Mandela according to his incarceration, how he handled it, and the lessons we've learned from his ability to forgive and to reconcile people behind it. What we often neglect is to talk about a child from the village of Kunu who was raised on indigenous knowledge systems, a pure African child who went through rites of passage as expected from him traditionally that made him the man who was able to overcome challenges and difficulties in prison to become the better man that he is today, to become the man who inspires each and every one of us to rise to our highest selves, to become this man who sees beauty in everybody, way beyond whatever adversity, negativity might be reflected about you. And during times like this where he's in his sunset years and he's of frail health, one often finds oneself reminiscing about moments spent with him, lessons learned, and so on. And in terms of his legacy and the humble man that he is, he likes to share a story with us. He often jokes about opening a branch of the ANC in heaven and so on. But he also, and I think it's his own gentle way of trying to prepare us for the inevitable, because many of us might be intellectually prepared, but we emotionally not ready at all. He loves to relate a story about what would happen when he gets to heaven, to the pearly gates. And he insists that he will arrive there carrying 2 paper bags. I don't know why paper bags. He'll be carrying paper bags. And then he says, and you know, darling, it's important to always make sure that you're at the right destination. So I'll then send the Archangel and say, excuse me, is Albert Lutuli here, please? And the Archangel will go away and come back and say, no, man, he's kind of busy right now. Oh, I see. What about Oliver Tambo? Can you check where he is, please? And then he'll come back and say, he's currently with a big man right now, they're in consultation. Oh, I see. What about Walter Sisulu? And then he relates the story. My father can be pretty long-winded when he chooses to. And he goes on with all these examples. And then he says, but then, when I look around, I will see someone like Hitler scrubbing the floor. I'll know, darling, that this is heaven, because it will have humbled a dictator. And that is truly what his legacy is all about. He's a very modest man, he's a very humble man, he's a very giving man, a man who never sees himself as a powerful individual. He sees himself as part of a collective. He never wants to take accolades for himself alone. He would always say, my colleagues and I, my comrades and I, even when at a very, intimate, sensitive and painful moments, like when my parents had to separate, it was my colleagues and I. Even when you leave your wife, my colleagues and I. So that is truly who he is. Somebody who can never ever think of himself as somebody great in isolation. I also remember one time when we'd come here on a stage visit under President Clinton, and he met a woman during one of these walkabouts who became very, very emotional when she met him, and she shook his hand and she was very teary-eyed and she almost passed out and so on. And we sat in the car, and in the ride back, to the hotel, to Blair House, he was very quiet, like in very deep thought and so on. And when we eventually sat at table to eat, I asked him, I said, what's on your mind? You're so quiet. And he just said, darling, did you notice that woman? She was so emotional. I'm worried about her, but I don't know why she responded like that. I just don't understand why. So it never ever occurs to him the impact that he has on people. This is truly somebody who just remains a boy from Gunu, a simple village man who has managed to achieve extraordinary things. He exemplifies how a dream can be realized, that he has moved from being that little village boy to a political prisoner, to presidency, and as we tease, we say triple P, president, prisoner, pensioner, so on. So he's a typical example of how nothing can stand in your way with determination, and if the cause that you stand for is noble and is right. I would like to thank once again Comrade Ibrahim for allowing us to be here with you today to celebrate this momentous occasion, to celebrate one chapter of documenting my father's legacy, and for us to be able to say to future generations, let us not forget that the greatest gift we can give him now in his sunset years is to show him that we're bringing those values alive in each and every one of us as we strive to become better people, as we strive to make a change in the world that we live in, that this is what we should really remember about him. Thank you so much.